They say life has a way of exposing secrets at the most unexpected moments. And for Daniel Collins, a man who thought he had mastered the art of deception, the truth came crashing down in the most humiliating way imaginable, under the dazzling chandeliers of a five-star hotel lobby. But what made the night unforgettable wasn't the betrayal, nor the shock of being caught. It was the stunning revelation of who really held the power in his world. Daniel was a man admired by many. A successful businessman, always dressed in sharp suits, driving luxury cars, and carrying himself with the confidence of someone who believed he had conquered life. To the outside world, he had it all. A beautiful wife, Sarah, who had been with him through every struggle, a comfortable home, and the kind of lifestyle most could only dream about. But behind closed doors, Daniel's heart had grown restless. Sarah wasn't just his wife. She was his anchor, the woman who had supported him when he was broke, when no one believed in his dreams, when they had lived in a tiny apartment with peeling paint on the walls. She had worked extra jobs to help pay bills while Daniel built his career. But as the money started rolling in, something inside Daniel began to change. Success inflated his ego, and soon he convinced himself he deserved more. More excitement, more attention, more love than his wife, who now seemed too ordinary for the glamorous world he inhabited. That's when he met Vanessa. She was young, stunning, and fiery. She showered him with compliments and made him feel invincible. With her, Daniel felt alive again, or so he thought. He began sneaking away from home, making excuses, inventing business trips, and spending money recklessly to impress his mistress. He thought he was too clever to be caught. One Friday night, Daniel booked the city's most exclusive five-star hotel, a place where powerful businessmen, celebrities, and dignitaries often stayed. He wanted to dazzle Vanessa with luxury. The marble floors gleamed beneath their feet as they walked in hand, laughing like teenagers in love. Daniel felt untouchable. He was certain no one would ever know. But fate had other plans. As they approached the grand lobby, Daniel's laughter died in his throat. His eyes froze on the elegant figure walking toward the reception desk. It was Sarah, his wife. For a moment, he thought it was a cruel coincidence, that maybe she was just there for dinner or meeting someone. But then the manager rushed forward, bowing respectfully, and said words that sent Daniel's world crashing down. "Mrs. Collins, welcome. Everything has been arranged for your arrival as the new owner. The hotel is officially yours." Daniel's knees nearly buckled. Vanessa, oblivious, whispered, "What's wrong, baby?" But Daniel couldn't answer. His wife, whom he had underestimated, neglected, and betrayed, was standing there, more powerful and radiant than he had ever seen her. She wasn't the woman scrubbing floors late at night anymore. She wasn't the exhausted wife he had dismissed. She was the new owner of the very hotel where he thought he would hide his sins. Sarah's eyes locked onto his. There was no anger, no shouting, no public humiliation, just a calm, piercing look that made Daniel feel smaller than he had ever felt in his life. Vanessa, confused, tried to hold his arm, but he pulled away instinctively, sweat dripping down his back. The truth unfolded quickly. What Daniel hadn't known was that while he was busy chasing illusions, Sarah had been quietly building her own empire. She had taken the little savings they had and invested wisely, partnering with people who saw her potential. She had studied, networked, and worked behind the scenes, never complaining, never demanding recognition. And now she stood as the rightful owner of one of the most prestigious hotels in the city. Daniel tried to speak, stammering excuses, but Sarah simply said, "Enjoy your stay, Mr. Collins. I'm sure you'll find the rooms very comfortable." Her voice carried both grace and finality. She turned and walked away, leaving Daniel standing in stunned silence, the weight of his betrayal crashing down like thunder. Vanessa, realizing the humiliation, quickly distanced herself. She muttered something about not signing up for this mess and disappeared into the crowd. For the first time in years, Daniel found himself utterly alone. The luxury, the money, the lies all seemed meaningless now. What good was wealth when the one person who had truly loved him no longer wanted to stand by his side? In the days that followed, Daniel's world unraveled. Business deals fell apart, rumors spread, and his once loyal associates began to distance themselves. Meanwhile, Sarah flourished. She poured her energy into the hotel, transforming it into a haven not just of luxury, but of kindness and opportunity. She hired struggling single mothers, gave scholarships to young staff, and turned her success into a story of empowerment. But the most remarkable part of Sarah's journey wasn't her wealth. It was her dignity. She never publicly shamed Daniel. She never sought revenge. Instead, she showed that true power lies in rising above betrayal, in turning pain into strength, and in proving that self-worth doesn't depend on someone else's approval. Months later, Daniel tried to win her back. He sent flowers, letters, even begged for forgiveness. But Sarah had already made her choice. She had spent too many years waiting for him to value her, and now she had learned the most important lesson of all. She didn't need him to feel complete. She had built her own world, one that thrived on respect, integrity, and resilience. And Daniel? He became a cautionary tale. A man who had everything but lost it all because he couldn't recognize the treasure he already had at home. In the end, Sarah's story wasn't just about betrayal. It was about rebirth. She showed the world that sometimes the most painful endings can give birth to the most powerful new beginnings. And for those who heard her story, one message stood clear. Never underestimate the quiet strength of a faithful heart. Because when that heart finally decides to walk away, it won't just leave. It will rise and shine brighter than ever before.